So actually, if we return to Bershta, is it normal to have such a love story across many years when you're separated and sort of having that kind of loyalty? Because it was two-way loyalty from
Yes,
Bershta to Temujin and Temujin to
yes.
Bershta. And this is like before he was Genghis Khan.
I think as children, he was too preoccupied with staying alive and trying to find fish and roots to eat and things like that to really be pining for her all the time. But for whatever reason, she came, and it could be that her family liked him in some way, or that she remembered him, or that she had no other suitors. Because at 17, she should have been married, actually. So I can't explain why, but it was certainly a strong love story after the fact, if not before. I mean, those two were loyal to each other throughout their lives. She was, I would say, the most important person to him after that.
He went to literal war to get her back.
He risked everything. He was willing to die. He was willing to kill. He was willing to die in order to get her back. And he got her back. And now he's reestablished his relationship with Jamukha. And so they decide to stay together. And they all go off to the Hornak Valley. And she is pregnant. This becomes a huge issue forever. It's one of those things that to this day, almost, it's an issue in what happens. But as he says much later in life, when his own sons rebel against him, and they call that first child a merchant bastard, he defends his wife viciously. He's to his own sons. He says, "You were not there. You do not know who loved who and who did not. You did not see the sky turning around. You did not see the stars falling. You did not see the earth turn over. You don't know what was happening. And if I say he is my son, he is my son. Who are you to say otherwise? You were not there. You come from the same warm womb. And if your mother could hear your words, her warm womb would turn to cold stone." So he defended her forever. But he's off now. We go back to the beginning. She's pregnant. They're in the Hornak Valley. And he and Jamukha decide to renew their vows of being anda to each other. So this time it's more serious, and it ceremony in front of the whole we can't say tribe, it's not big enough yet for a tribe, but the whole clan that's there. And then Jamukha takes off a gold belt, which actually he had stolen from the market at some point. And where on earth they got a gold belt, I don't know. But he took off a gold belt and he put it on Temujin. And then Temujin gave him a mare who had never had a foal, had never given birth. And it was an unusual mare who had a little growth on the front of her head, which they called a horn. So it was an unusual gift. And it has meaning, but I don't know all the meanings behind it. It's sort of odd to me. But the golden belt, you can kind of sort of think about it in different ways. But the golden belt, the belt for the Mongol man is really the sign of manhood. And in fact, this belt of bus, a woman was often then and even now called person without a belt, because that's how they were at that time. Today, women wear belts, of course, but they still use the word buskui, with no belt. So it's a very important symbol of manhood. So he gave that to Temujin, and they celebrated. And in the words of the secret history, they slept apart under the same blanket, apart from the other group, and they were happy together. And then when the baby was born, Temujin named the baby Zuch, which means visitor. And some people say, well, it's because the child was really the market child. Other people say, no, it's because he was a visitor on the territory of Jamukha at that time. And other people can say, well, but Jamukha's ancestor, who had been born from the kidnapped woman who was pregnant, that they had named that Jarigadai, which meant foreigner. So it's kind of like a parallel, the visitor, the foreigner. And so Jamukha's clan took the name from him. They were called Jadaran. And so there are all these things that sometimes we can't quite understand because we don't have the total mentality of that time and we're not there.
But we should say that, I mean, it's a pretty powerful part of this love story is that the child is likely not his, and he accepted that child as his own and defended it as it becomes much more important later.
Yes.
As his first child.
Yes. He defends this child through his entire life. And but not long after the birth, he and Jamukha break apart. Or really, it's Temujin breaks apart at the urging of Borte. She said he lords it over you too much. He orders you around too much. You need to be free. We need to break away. And she urged him, and he loved his wife more than anything. I think that in a certain way, the most important other character in his life, adult life, would be the Anda relationship, which gets up being severely tested in the future years. But they run away through the night. They go all night long to escape from him. But he obviously loved Borte the most and took the baby, of course, with him as well.